Hey, all of my new friends from Fort Erie, how are you? Hope you're doing well. Well, we had a great time hanging out together, at least I did, have a great time hanging out with you, as we talked about the keys to building a thriving community in the 21st century. And I tried to make the case that the key to building a thriving community in the 21st century was you, the informal leader, the community builder, that you were paramount, you were key, that your time, your talent, your treasure, and that you exclusively by yourself can't do it all, but all of you coming together and uniting around a common goal of building a community that all would want to live in, then something special could happen. The challenge is, what are the leadership approaches that are necessary for the day? And I tried to make the case that the leadership approaches of the past wouldn't be so effective today because we're in changing times. And that Drucker was right. Every couple hundred years in Western history, society does rearrange itself. And the society that the grandparents knew is completely different than the society the grandchildren know. A time of transformation. So what were the leadership approaches that were necessary to marshal the human capital of today? We said three things. One, you had to be an agent of change. You had to know how to change something. Two, you had to be a systems thinker. And three, you had to be a catalyst for responsibility. Now, over the next month, we'll unpack those three concepts. This week, I've posted information right here on the webpage about being an agent of change. When we were together, I made the case that change starts with trust. That unless a person trusts you, they won't change. Unless a person trusts the process, they won't change. Or unless they trust the outcome, they won't change. That at the end of the day, it's about trust. So I've posted some videos around change. I've given you a video about how to change you. 80% of your behavior is unconscious. If you want to be a little bit better tomorrow than you were yesterday, then you have to change. But how do you do that? We've given you a process. I've given you some tips and ideas of how to initiate change within an organization. I've given you some tips and ideas of how to initiate change with an employee or a volunteer. And at the end of the week, in a couple of days, I'll post some information about how to initiate change in our community utilizing our 100 cup of coffee strategy. So that's this week. Next week, and then the following week, we'll talk about systems. And then the last week, we'll talk about being a catalyst for responsibility. Now, we're doing all of this for you, and we're not charging you anything. But we are asking you to do one thing. What's that? Make a commitment. What will you commit to doing a little bit differently? What will you commit to improving or working on or getting better at over the next 30 days? 100 plus leaders were in the room that day, and we've had more sign up since. What if 100 plus people committed in Fort Erie to getting better at something? Don't you agree with me that by the 31st day we'd have a better Fort Erie? Because you're all leaders. Informal maybe, but you're all leaders. That's the deal. That's what it boils down to. So make your commitment. And then finally, you'll also notice that we've posted the archives of that day in 3 separate blocks. Encourage your friends. Maybe they weren't able to show up, but they can watch it anytime, any place, anywhere. Okay? If I can ever be of help, if you have some questions or comments, just shoot me an email, and I'll be reaching out to you in the next couple days. Take care, everybody.